Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about the life of William Blake. I am Rajni Meena, Assistant Professor, Government College, Rawatbhata. Introduction of the poet. William Blake was an English poet, painter, printmaker, largely unrecognized during his lifetime. Blake is now considered a seminal figure in the history of poetry and visual arts of the Romantic Age. What he called his prophetic works were said by 20th century critic Northrop Fryer to form what is in proportion to its merits the least read body of poetry in the English language. His visual artistry led 21st century critic Jonathan Jones to proclaim him far and away the greatest artist Britain has ever produced. In 2002, Blake was placed at number 38 in the BBC poll of the 100 greatest Britons. While he lived in London his entire life, except for 3 years spent in Felpham, he produced a diverse and symbolically rich oeuvre which embraced the imagination as the body of God or human existence itself. Although Blake was considered mad by contemporaries for his idiosyncratic views, he is held in high regard by later critics for his expressiveness and creativity and for the philosophical and mystical undercurrents within his work. His paintings and poetry have been characterized as part of Romantic movement and as pre-Romantic. A committed Christian who was hostile to the Church of England, Blake was influenced by the ideals and ambitions of the French and American revolutions. Though later he rejected many of these political beliefs, he maintained an amiable relationship with the political activist Thomas Paine. He was also influenced by thinkers such as Emmanuel Swedenborg. Despite these known influences, the singularity of Blake's works makes him difficult to classify. The 19th century scholar William Michael Rossetti characterized him as a glorious luminary and a man not forestalled by predecessors and not to be classed with contemporaries, not to be replaced by known or readily surmigeable successors. His early life. William Blake was born on 28 November 1757 on 28 Broad Street in Soho, London. He was the third of 7 children, two of whom died in infancy. Blake's father, James, was a hosier. He attended school only long enough to learn reading and writing, leaving at the age of 10 and was otherwise educated at home by his mother, Catherine Blake. The Blakes were English dissenters. William was baptized on 11 December at St. James Church, Piccadilly, London. The Bible was an early and profound influence on Blake and remained a source of inspiration throughout his life. Blake started engraving copies of drawings of Greek antiquities purchased for him by his father, a practice that was preferred to actual drawing. Within these drawings, Blake found his first exposure to classical form through the works of Raphael, Michelangelo, Martin Wayne, Hemskirk, and Albert Dürer. The number of prints and bound books that James and Catherine were able to purchase for young William suggests that the Blakes enjoyed, at least for a time, a comfortable wealth. When William was 10 years old, His parents knew enough for his headstrong temperament that he was not sent to school but instead enrolled in drawing classes at Pars Drawing School in the Strand. He read avidly on subjects of his own choosing. During this period, Black made exploration into poetry. His early work displayed knowledge of Ben Jonson, Edward Spencer, and Psalms. Apprentice to Bashir. On 4 August 1772, Black was apprenticed to engraver James Bashir of Great Queen Street at the sum of $52.10 for a term of 7 years. At the end of the term, aged 21, he became a professional engraver. No record survives of any serious disagreement or conflict between the two during the period of Black's apprenticeship. But Peter Ackroyd biography notes that Black later added Bashir's name to the list of artistic adversaries and then crossed it out. Then aside, Bashir's style of line engraving was of a kind held at the time to be old-fashioned compared to the flashier stipple style. It has been speculated that Black's instruction to this outmoded form may have been detrimental to his acquiring of work or its recognition in later life. After 2 years, Bashir sent his apprentice to copy images from the Gothic churches in London. His experiences in Westminster Abbey helped form his artistic style and ideas. The abbey of his days was decorated with suits of armor and painted funeral effigies and berry-colored waxworks. Royal Academy. On 8 October 1779, Black became a student at the Royal Academy in Old Somerset House near the Strand. While the terms of his study required no payment, he was expected to supply his own materials throughout the 6-year period, and there he rebelled against what he regarded as the unfinished style of fashionable painters such as Rubens, championed by the school's first president, Joshua Reynolds. Over time, Black came to detest Reynolds' attitude towards art, especially his pursuit of general truth and general beauty. Reynolds wrote in his discourse that the disposition to abstraction, to generalizing, and classification is the great glory of human mind. Black responded in marginalia to his personal copy that to generalize is to be an idiot. To particularize is the alone distinction of merit. Black also disliked Reynolds' apparent humility, which he held to be a form of hypocrisy. Against Reynolds' fashionable oil painting, Black preferred the classical precision of his early influence, Michelangelo and Raphael. Black became a friend of John Flaxman, Thomas Stothard, George Cumberland. During his first year at the Royal Academy, they shared radical views, and Stothard and Cumberland joining the Society of Constitutional Information. Gordon Riots. Black's first biographer, Alexander Gilchrist, records that in June 1780, Black was walking towards Bashir's shop in Great Queen Street when he was swept up by a rampaging mob that stormed Newgate Prison. The mob attacked the prison gate with shovels and pickaxes, set the building ablaze, and released the prisoners inside. Black was reportedly in the front rank of the mob during the attack. The riot, in response to a parliamentary bill revoking sanctions against Roman Catholicism, became known as the Gordon Riots and provoked a flurry of legislation from the government of George III, and the creation of the first police force. Marriage and earlier career early career. Black met Catherine Boucher in 1782 when he was recovering from a relationship that had been culminated in a refusal of his marriage proposal. He recounted the story of his heartbreak for Catherine and her parents. After which he asked Catherine, "Do you pity me?" When she responded affirmatively, he declared, "Then I love you." Black married Catherine, who was 5 years his junior, on 18 August 1782 in St. Mary Church, Battersea. Illustrate Catherine signed her wedding contract with an X. The original wedding certificate may be viewed at the church, where a commemorative stained glass window was installed between 1976 and 1982. Throughout his life, she proved an invaluable aid, helping to print his illuminated work and maintaining his spirit throughout numerous misfortunes. Black's first collection of poems, Poetical Sketches, was printed around 1783. After his father's death, Black and former fellow apprentice James Parker opened a print shop in 1784 and began working with radical publisher Joseph Johnson. Johnson's house was a meeting place for some leading English intellectual dissidents of the time. Theologian and scientist Joseph Priestley, philosopher Richard Price, and artist John Henry Fuseli, early feminist Mary Wollstonecraft, and English revolutionary Thomas Paine, along with William Wordsworth and William Godwin. Black had great hopes for the French and American revolutions and wore a Phrygian cap in solidarity with the French revolutionaries, and but despaired with the rise of Robespierre and reign of terror in France. In 1784, Black composed his unfinished manuscript, An Island in the Moon. Black illustrated original stories from real life by Mary Wollstonecraft. They seem to have shared some views on sexual equality and the institution of marriage, but there is no evidence proving that they met. In 1793, Visions of the Daughters of Albion, Black condemned the cruelty of absurdity of enforced chastity and marriage without love, and defended the right of women to complete self fulfillment. From 1790 to 1800, William Black lived in North Lambeth, London, at 13 Hercules Building, Hercules Road. The property was demolished in 1918 but the site is now marked with a plaque. There is a series of 70 mosaics commemorating Black in the nearby railway tunnels of Waterloo Station. The mosaic largely reproduced illustrations from Black's illuminated books, The Songs of Innocence and Experience, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, and the Prophetic Books. Relief hacking. In 1788, aged 31, Black experimented with the relief hacking, a method he used to produce most of his books, paintings, pamphlets, and poems. The process is also referred to as an illuminated printing, and the finished product as illuminated books or prints. The illuminated printing involved writing the text of the poems on copper plates with pens and brushes using an acid resistant medium. The illustration could appear alongside words in the manner of earlier illuminated manuscript. He then etched the plates in acid to dissolve the untreated copper and leave the design standing in relief. This is a reversal of the usual method of etching, where the lines of designs are exposed to the acid and the plate printed by the intaglio method. Relief etching was intended as a means of producing his illuminated books more quickly than via intaglio. Stereotype, a process invented in 1725, consisted of making a metal cast from a wood engraving, but Black's innovation was, as described above, very different. The pages printed from these plates were hand colored in watercolors and stitched together to form a volume. Black used illuminated printing for most of his well-known works, including Songs of Innocence and of Experience, The Book of Thale, The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, and Jerusalem. Engravings. Although Black has become better known for his relief etching, his commercial work largely consisted of intaglio engraving, the standard process of engraving in the 18th century, in which the artist incised an image into the copper plate, a complex and laborious process, with the plates taking months or years to complete. Europe, supported by Africa and America, is an engraving by Black held in the collection of the University of Arizona Museum of Art. The engraving was for a book written by Black's friend John Gabriel Stedman, called The Narratives of a 5 year expedition against the revolted Negroes of Suriname, 1796. Black employed intaglio engraving in his own work, such as for his illustrations of the Book of Job, completed just before his death. Most critical works have concentrated on Black's relief etching as a technique because it is the most innovative aspect of his art. But a 2009 study drew attention to Black's surviving plates, including those for the Book of Job. William Black's death. Black's last years were spent at Fountain Court of the Strand. The property was demolished in 1880 when the Savoy Hotel was built. On the day of his death, 12 August 1827, Block worked relentlessly on his Date series. Eventually, it is reported he ceased working and turned to his wife, who was in tears by his bedside, beholding her. Black is said to have cried, "Stay, cat, keep just as you are. I will withdraw your portrait, for you have ever been an angel to me." Having completed this portrait, now lost, Black laid down his tools and began to sing hymns and verses. At 6 that evening, after promising his wife that he would be with her always, Black died. Gilchrist reports that a female lodger in the house present at his expiration said, "I have been at the death not of a man but of a blessed angel." This is the headstone in Bunhill Field, London, erected on Black's grave in 1927 and moved to its present location in 1964 to 65. Thank you so much for watching this video.